Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube live art broadcast, episode 7 of this X-Men sketch cover here that we're working on. So last night we got Nightcrawler added, had some free time today, so I thought let's see if we could tackle two characters this time, Jean and Scott. Jean here and then Scott here. Jean Grey and Cyclops. So for those of you just tuning in, yes, I did have a little bit of a weird orientation lock on the camera here, and it wouldn't let me turn it landscape, so it was stuck in portraits. So I apologize to everyone. Welcome back. So glad you came back. So glad you're here. And yeah, we're gonna get right into it. So we got two characters. We're gonna try to tackle two characters here in this broadcast for the line art. So like I said, Cyclops and Jean Grey. Welcome everyone. Feel free to post your questions and comments. I'll do my best to respond as I can. But as always, a lot of the focus goes into the art. So hope you're having a great Saturday, and let's get to the line work. Replug into the camera rig here, working on an X-Men sketch cover. Drawing the 90s era X-Men. So these will be the 90s era Jean Grey and Scott Summers. What's my favorite action figure of all time? Wow, that's a really tough question. I think right now I'd say my Marvel Legends Thing. I think it's just a really great sculpt and points of articulation, just really, really well done. But so many figures are well done now. So using my finer point mechanical pencil, the Unikuratoga 0.3 HB lead for these finer details. Start roughing in or really tightening up the details of the face, the hair, the costume. Want to make sure the facial details are a bit tighter. Let's see, any new comics coming up? You love my Thor one-shot. I got some stuff in the works, and as soon as I'm allowed to talk about those, you will hear about it on all my social media. So thank you. Thanks for enjoying my work. Right now, look for more of my Jack-O-Lantern original character comic strips to show up on my Instagram and Twitter accounts, as well as the Art of Todd Nauck Facebook page. Any advice for beginners using Clip Studio Art software? Yes, I'm a beginner as well. Just started using that program this year for the first time, so I'm learning too. Right now, my best advice is to keep at it. Keep practicing. That's what I'm having to do. Felt really weird at first, felt very unnatural, and definitely a big learning curve. So hopefully when I get more proficient at it, I'll be doing some digital art broadcasts as well. But that's further down the line. Any tips on sketching characters out like this? Yeah, just work your shapes. You know, rough in the pose, then you kind of tighten up as you go. As you can see, I have the initial breakdown from the first broadcast, and now I'm just tightening things up. So learn your muscle groupings as best you can. Learn how to draw, in foreshortening type poses, your shading, things like that, and yeah, and have fun. Oh, you're welcome for the advice. Glad you find my videos helpful. I'm not going, as you've seen in the previous steps, I don't go super detailed with my pencils. I don't go super tight, I should say. Still pretty sketchy, pretty rough. A lot of that that magic come in the inking stage. I don't want to overwork it to where I take too much of the fun out of the energy of the line coming in the inks. I do pencil tighter than this for when I draw my comic book work. I don't pencil this loosey for my comic book stuff. Which digital tablet do I use? I use the Wacom Mobile Studio Pro. I use the 13. So we'll get both Scott and Jean rendered out here, and then I'll pencil, and then I'll take them to inks. So we kind of got them with the Scott's hand around her waist, and hers around his. And usually when I do a piece like this, I pencil everyone first, then ink. But because we have so many characters, and this is a multi-broadcast sort of illustration here, I fear there'd be too much smudging of the line work by waiting too long. I thought it'd be more interesting and more fun to fully render in pencil and ink each character at each time. So it's rare that I would pencil one character, ink one character, then the next character. So this is a unique broadcast. This is not how I traditionally do a piece like this. I'd first pencil it all out, then ink it. So definitely running a risk here, penciling it this way, or drawing it this way with pencils and inks for each character. Have I ever drawn Transformers? Not professionally, no. I think I've done a few commissions, or at least a couple of commissions. I remember drawing a Starscream for someone once. What exercising techniques do I use to loosen up my artwork? I wasn't able to catch your entire question. I don't really have an exercise technique to loosen up my artwork. It just kind of developed over time. Just continued practice, continued putting pencil to paper. So I don't have any one specific practice. Now you could probably do some gesture drawing, some quick pose sketches, like, you know, a 60-second pose, a 2-minute pose, where you just rough it out real quick and you know, set a little timer for you, and then just do it. Just do as much art, or only focus like for a minute on drawing that one pose, and then do another pose for another minute or 2 minutes. So those are called gesture drawings that you would do in a life drawing class. Is this a classic theme? Yes. Well, 90s classic. I mean, technically X-Men can go all the way back to the 60s for classic, so, but this specific era is the 90s X-Men. So I really put a lot of focus in on the face and get that penciled pretty tightly before inks, because you don't want to jack up the face. So you put the extra time and attention in there to make sure it's right. Have I seen Thor Ragnarok? Yes, I did. Loved it. Thought it was fantastic. No spoilers here though, gang. Not everyone's had a chance to see it, so do not post spoilers. But yes, I did enjoy it. Ron Lim? Yeah, I'm familiar with Ron Lim's work. I've met him as well. Really nice guy, really great artist. How'd you learn to draw the body a comic book style? Just practice, just study and practice. Just looked at my favorite comic book artist and emulated what they did. And then developed my own style over time. Okay, I feel that nose is set a little too high, so I gotta rework this here. Is that a pen eraser? Yes, it is. Just a little click eraser. You can just click it and it's great for just those really tiny little erasings that need to be done. Instead of trying to use this big ol' eraser to hit that little spot. When I was a beginner, what character did I find? I think I answered that question last night. Was that Mustafa asking that? Good to see you back here. You just got here? Well, welcome, Speedscape. Haven't missed much. Have I ever used a white gel pen to fill in light? Yeah, I use a white gel pen for highlights. I use the Uniball Signo white gel pen. You'll see me use that in a lot of my videos here and on my YouTube channel. Do I know James Rise? Yes. I don't know him personally, but I online know him. We haven't met in real life yet. But yes, I do know James' work. And we've interacted on Twitter. My biggest influences as an artist, I've been influenced by a lot of comic book art because I love comic book art. But my biggest influences, Arthur Adams, Rick Leonardi, Walter Simonson, and Alan Davis. They were my foundational four as a teenager. And then I discovered so many other artists beyond them. Other than Kitty Pryde, who is my favorite to draw? Just X-Men in general. That's why I like doing a piece like this. Saw a question about Peter Capaldi in a non-doctor role, I think you'd ask. What do I think about that? I think he'll do great. He's a great actor. Yeah, Rick Leonardi's Spidey 2099 was awesome. Absolutely. That's great stuff. I really loved his Cloak and Dagger and New Mutants work as well. And of course his fill-in issues on X-Men. Some of my favorites. And his Colossus story from Marvel Comics Presents. That was really great too. I loved how he drew Colossus. Oh, you love the Medusa I drew. Thank you. What is the hardest part working in the industry besides deadlines? Interesting question. Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that. I mean, drawing comics is challenging. That's a given. It requires a lot of stamina, energy, and brain power to do all. Have I ever done a drawing of myself? Yeah, not a lot, but I have had to draw myself in the past. And any more Wild Guard in the pipeline? There is a short story that I'm working on bit by bit. Don't know when that short story will come out, but it's on the docket. How do you balance work-life balance? As best I can. I have a very supportive wife, so that helps a lot. She understands a lot of time and energy goes into drawing comics, so so she's very supportive of me in that, which I really appreciate. Because sometimes I have to work some crazy deadlines. Does Marvel or DC have permanent artists, or do they select? I'm not quite sure how to answer your question. The editors hire for the books they have for the vision that they have. So they will hire the artist that they feel best represents the tone of the book they're looking to produce at the time, or story they're looking to produce. So so our teams do tend to rotate for all sorts of reasons, but yeah, hopefully that's kind of close to what you're asking about. I got to get this hand working a bit right, trying to get the angle better. Hello from work. You're watching at work? Don't get in trouble, man. Don't get fired. Oh, hello, Argentina. Who else is on this cover? Oh my gosh, we got about 18 mutants on this cover. 18 or 19. We have Colossus, Archangel, Iceman, Storm, Kitty Pryde, Bishop, the Beast, Dazzler, Havoc, Gambit, Rogue. Who else? Psylocke. So yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot. Sorry, I'm missing so many of y'all's questions here. I'm really focusing on getting these faces and getting the art going. So, or just right. So I know I'm missing a lot. Do I have a dream casting for Cyclops and Jean? No, I don't. Colossus is your personal favorite. Yeah, he's one of my favorites too. Am I using costume reference for their costumes, or do I know them by heart? I know them pretty well by heart. I did do a quick Google search to make sure I was remembering things correctly. But many of these costumes I do know by heart. But oftentimes I do use reference to make sure I get the details of the costume accurate, or as accurate as possible. All right, I think we're about ready to go to inks. Just double check things here. Get those pouches going, get the little X belt buckle right there. Awesome. So I think we're ready to go to inks now. So I'll probably be using mostly the Pigma Micron 01, maybe a little 08 from time to time, and some 005 for the finer facial details. Other than drawing from real life, what advice for maintaining memory to draw from and how? Practice. Just continued practice. Study and practice. You're just training your brain. So the more you practice, the more you're putting this stuff into your brain. So that would be my best advice. I can only speak from my experience. So that's. Sorry, gang. We had a bit of a internet gag as well as a phone call come in. I thought I set this to do not disturb, but apparently I didn't set my phone to do not disturb. So hopefully we're all back together. So how long will it take to complete this cover? It'll take a while. It will take a while. It will be multiple broadcasts. So this won't be done in one or two broadcasts. This will be multiple broadcasts. Absolutely. See, switch to a finer point micron, the 005. You'd love to see me work on an Inhumans or Fantastic Four book in the future. I appreciate that. Thank you. Those would be fun books to work on. Would I consider taking on students or teach online? Not at the moment, but who knows what the future might hold. Right now, I just don't have the spare time to do something at that level of commitment. Switch back to the 01. Welcome. Glad you could catch the broadcast. What's the one thing that really gives you trouble drawing? Things I'm not familiar drawing. Things I don't often have to draw are probably going to give me more trouble, like drawing things like cows or helicopters. So that takes a little bit more time and energy and research and study and practice to get that looking as right or accurate or decent as possible. Thanks for the kind words, gang. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Which Justice League character is my favorite to draw? That would be Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, or two of my favorites. Ever think about drawing Wolverine on his bike? something to consider, absolutely. Any thoughts on Zach Levi as Shazam? I think it's awesome. I think that's great. I really dig Zachary Levi. I think he being Shazam will be really cool. I think that's a great choice. Am I going to use 90s costumes for the whole drawing? Absolutely. Yes. This is a 90s era X-Men group shot. Absolutely. What's my favorite Wolverine costume to draw in color? I like a lot of his costumes, but my personal favorite is the brown and gold costume from the 1980s. Because that's the costume he was wearing when I started reading as a kid. So that's my favorite. What's your favorite Wolverine costume? Thoughts on Marvel Generations so far? I'm not sure if I'm familiar with Marvel Generations. Are you referring to the Legacy stuff that they're doing? I haven't read much of that yet, so I don't really have any opinion on it yet. A little bit behind on my comic book reading. Brown and Gold's your favorite too? Right on. Have I ever worked on cartoons dealing with Marvel and DC? No, I have not. I have not worked on cartoons. What's my favorite version of Jean Grey? The X Factor, 80s X Factor era Jean Grey. Could I please make a full figure drawing of Zatanna someday? Maybe. Can't make any promises. But something definitely to keep in mind. Blue and gold 90s version of Wolverine is your favorite. Well, then you should be very happy with this one then. Since that's the one representing right now. Your connection died for about 10 minutes. Well, welcome back. X Factor is the best, isn't it? Some great stuff. The Walter Simonson X Factor. It's one of the reasons why I'm a big Walter Simonson fan. Any tips for practicing line work? Yeah, set aside time to where you can focus on practicing and really get into it. Really just go for it. Do you think Wolverine just had costumes on hangers inside his closet? Absolutely. Doesn't every superhero? Oh, well, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I liked the X-Men Evolution costume designs as well. Absolutely. It's my favorite of the X-Men cartoons. What am I going to use when I go to colors? Copic sketch markers. Do I have any tips for hair and hairlines? Look at real life photos of hair and kind of study the flow of the hair and the shapes that they make, and emulate those shapes in your line work. Yes, practice, develop your muscle memory skills. Absolutely. Any advice on drawing mechas? And who's my favorite super robot? Let's see. Probably my favorite super robot would be Dangar Ace. And when it comes to drawing mechas, I would say learn perspective. You're going to utilize a lot of perspective, and to get those big chunky mechanical parts to fit together correctly. So you break it down to its basic shapes. When you're roughing it out, much like you do a person, but they'll just probably be a lot less curved and more squared off, and then you just tighten up as you go along, much like I'm doing with these human figures. What's my favorite Sentinel design? I don't really have a favorite Sentinel design. I guess if I had to pick one, I'd say Nimrod. That's my favorite of the Sentinels. You didn't miss Netcrawler. I mean, yeah, you missed the live version, but the video's still here on my channel, so you can, when you're done with watching this broadcast, you can go back and watch episode 6 to see the Nightcrawler broadcast. So, with any of these broadcasts, even if you don't get to watch live, you can still watch at any time, because they're up here on my YouTube channel. Would I ever take on a horror comic? I don't know. Have I ever created my own costume variants for my favorite characters? You know, I haven't really done that. I should try that sometime, though. That'd be fun. If asked, would I come to Canada for a convention like Montreal Comic Con? If it works with my travel schedule, my deadline schedule, absolutely. I try to get to as many places as possible. It just really depends on when is the convention and am I available that weekend. So I'm always open to, fielding a con promoter's invitation. So if you want me to come to your part of the world, let your convention promoters know. You know, you can tweet them. Most conventions, like a good-sized convention, a reputable convention, will have like a Twitter account or an Instagram account or a Facebook page, and then just at the very least tweet them or post politely on their page saying, "Hey, I'd like to see this artist, that writer, this colorist as a guest at your con." Because promoters need to know this stuff. They want to know who can they invite that will bring you through their doors. Because they want you at their convention. So they invite us if they know we will help get you through those doors. Who do you want to come see? Who do you want to come meet? So let your convention promoters know these are the creators that we want to see. And they just might reach out and give us an invitation. It's happened to me several times now, where the promoter said, specifically, our attendees have said they want to see you at our convention. What can we do to make that happen? That's how I got to Salt Lake. That's how I got to Denver. And that's how I might get to your part of the world. But do ask politely. Don't demand. Convention promoters are people too. You'd love to see me at any of the San Francisco-based conventions. Right on. Thank you. Yeah, let those promoters know. With coloring, do I have any advice for making textures? It all depends on the texture. Can't really wrap my brain around that while I'm doing my inks right now. But if you go into my Copic, my dedicated Copic color playlists, you'll see lots of Copic color videos, and oftentimes I'm explaining how I'm working on a certain texture. So that might be able to be an easier answer or response to your question. Find a character that has a texture that I did that matches up with a texture you're trying to create, and see if I address that. Like for capes, that you want to watch my Spawn Copic video, or gosh, I can't remember what all videos I have on there. There's so many. I think there's a black cat that might kind of address fur or things like that. So Spider-Man videos. You'll watch the rest of the video tonight. Right on. Well, please do come back. Glad you could hang out with us. That goes for everyone. Let's see, get my French curve here. Since Cyclops' face is angled a little upwards, we need a curve here. Let's get my pencil here, make sure I'm drawing the curve at the right curvature. Yeah, that works. So reline that up. There we go. Nice smooth curved line. All right, now let's focus more on Jean here, and then we'll fill in the black areas. Little X's here to remind myself where to fill in black. Oh, maybe not quite ready to go to Jean yet. Just going to add some hatching here. Little texture. So when doing things like this, you want to keep in mind the direction and the shape of the muscle group you're looking to render. You just don't throw these lines down any which way. That will flatten your image. It'll make it look like it's flat, and you need to have a rhyme and reason. And oftentimes they go towards the light, but in curvature of the body part. So definitely a few things to think about there. Jean's little pinky. Then her ring finger. Then her middle finger. Giving her the Sean Spencer psychic touch. You know how Sean Spencer does that on Psych? Did I study any specific inkers when I was teaching myself how to do inks? Yeah. Gosh, who all that? I was inspired by Scott Williams, Danny Mickey and my Extreme Studios mates, Klaus Janson, Dan Green, Terry Austin, Bob Wyashek. Yeah, lots of different inkers. Mostly my favorite X-Men inkers who inked my favorite X-Men artists. Sean Spencer is related to Jean Grey. That's funny. What if baby Christopher, it really isn't Cable, but is Sean Spencer with memory loss. So he doesn't know that he truly does have telepathic abilities. So he hasn't needed to fake it all this time. That's what we call a twist. What do I think about Jean's ponytail and the design in the animated series? It's, it is what it is. I didn't really put a lot of thought into it. I personally enjoy her hair being down like in the comic books. Hence the design I'm using. How's it going? It's going well. Let's see. Does anyone ever ink your drawings? Not so much nowadays. Now that I've started doing my own inks, I don't work with inkers as much anymore. Just because I really love doing the inking stage. Yes, I will be coloring this later on, much later on. We have a lot of X-Men here to ink, so it'll be a while before we get to the color stage. Keep trying to catch one of y'all's questions, but they keep fading out, and by the time I'm realized I can't catch that previous one, I look to the next one, it's fading out, so having a hard time keeping up. Still using Jim Lee reference when necessary for these costumes. I did do a quick check on Scott and Jean here to make sure I had their costumes right, but I'm not looking at the Jim Lee reference right now, because pretty much I was remembering the details accurately. Who's next for upcoming videos? Probably next will be Colossus. Hopefully I can do Colossus, Archangel, and Iceman in the next broadcast, whenever that may be. So we'll get the whole right side of the cover done first, and then we'll flip over to the other side and start tackling all of those characters. Colossus has had a ton of costume. What's my favorite? My personal favorite is the Australian Outback costume. The one that had the kind of the wrestling belt and the gauntlets. That's my favorite Colossus costume. I also like his original one as well. Let's see, I need my ellipse template for her belt buckle. Find the right shape ellipse. Right size and shape. Boom, perfect belt buckle. Got the X in there. Have to keep in mind where Nightcrawler's tail is. Is this a commission? No. This is specifically done to show y'all how I draw a large group shot. See, I think someone asked about a tip. Tips for drawing more dynamic poses. Yeah, do gesture drawings and learn foreshortening. That can really help kind of loosen up your figure work and create more of a dynamic pose. That foreshortening can really help a lot. Perspective also plays a major role when it comes to drawing characters. Absolutely. Have I ever put myself into the background of a comic as an Easter egg? I did once a long time ago in one of the Extreme Studios comics. But I haven't done that. Well, no, I guess I did that once for an issue of the Teen Titans cartoon comic I did with Jay Torres. He actually wrote us into the comic book, so I'm featured in there in the Teen Titans animated style. So that'd probably be the most recent time I've drawn myself into a comic. So I watched the Netflix Marvel series. I have not had a chance to watch those yet. But I hear they're great. Any tips for female anatomy? Again, it's whether it be female anatomy, male anatomy, drawing hands, feet, eyes, hair. Look at photo reference. It takes study, in my opinion, because I'm speaking from my experience. Study. Just really studying real life, trying to emulate those shapes, and then rework those shapes when we find, well, that didn't quite work out right. Where did I miss the mark? And try again. So it's really just study and practice, study and practice. With females, I mean, as you study, you'll see that females tend to be, or at least in Western American comic books. When I say Western, I'm not talking about the Old West, but I'm talking about American comics, as we're known as the West, as opposed to like anime or manga. The women are they're going to be more of an hourglass figure, more curves, less, the shoulders probably won't be as broad, the hips might be a little wider. So those are some things to consider, fewer lines in the face for, let's see, I got to tighten up her eyes here before I commit to inks. So those are some of the things you'll want to keep in mind. So, and as you're sketching, you double check yourself, and it's like, are her shoulders too broad? Depending on the character. Wonder Woman, she'd probably have fairly broad shoulders, but Kitty Pryde, her shoulders wouldn't be as broad. So you want to make sure you get your body type down. That's why you want to break your artwork down in these sketches and then rework things until you get it to where you need it to be before you move to the next stage of the art. So that's why I really encourage study and practice. All right, so I think I've got, let's see, put some seams here on the tips of Cyclops' gloves. How many hours do I spend drawing every day? I spend anywhere from 8 to 12 hours drawing a day. So now I'm just erasing all these extra pencil lines before I fill in the big black areas. Just makes it easier. see. Did I have nice art teachers? Yeah. I did have some really nice art teachers. And some that maybe weren't so nice, but I don't blame art for that. I just, some people are just the way some people are. But I had some, my high school art teacher, she was really nice. I really liked her. I had some really nice art instructors at the Art Institute. My junior high art teacher, she was really nice. So, yeah, I definitely felt I had support from most all the teachers that I worked with or studied from. Now using the Pentel Pocket brush pen here to fill in the black area. For a nice solid black. And there we go. Whoops. Just beefing up some of the blacks there on Cyclops' arm. And there's Scott and Jean. So let's pull back so you can see a bit more of where we're at and what we have yet to do. So, yeah, we're probably barely a fifth of the way into this. So I'll be posting a shot of this on my social media networks. But let's flip the camera around and we can chat here a little bit more. I can answer a couple of questions before I sign off. Hey gang, all right. So I think I saw someone ask a question, do I know James Rise? Yes I do. Been getting that question a lot the past week or two. I remember James, I think, mentioned me on one of his videos. Is that why people are asking? What character is next? Probably Colossus. Colossus, Archangel, and Iceman. Plan on finishing off the this side of the piece, and then we'll move over to this side. So probably next video, Colossus, Archangel, and Iceman. Thanks so much for the kind words, gang. Were there any other questions? I want to make sure I tackle those before I sign off. If I had to pick 3 X-Men to engage in a battle royale against all the other X-Men, who would it be? Well, Wolverine, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. I think they would work well together and could utilize their powers in conjunction with each other to handle any threat that comes their way. What was my favorite subject in high school or middle school? Art. I took art for 1 semester in junior high in 7th grade, and then I had it for both my semesters of my junior and senior year. So I got to do a lot of art, and so that's definitely my favorite. Have I ever had a piece of art ruined in some way when sending it? Not ruined. I have had it. There was a time I don't know what happened at the post office, but someone poked like a screwdriver through. Fortunately, it didn't hit the artwork, just down in the bottom corner, but the person was really nice about it. The person who was receiving the artwork. So they were able to just trim off that part, and you would never know. So, but usually I pack mine in plastic, surrounded by cardboard, to keep commissions from getting damaged. Are microns compatible with watercolor? Absolutely, yes. How long did it take for me to find my style? It's been an evolution, so all my life. And my style will continue to evolve into the future because I'm always learning new things, trying new things, and so the styles evolve because the more we learn, the more we change, and that is reflected through our art. Which X-Men is tricky to draw? I can't really think of any X-Men. Maybe Mr. Sinister because of that cape, but that would be the first one that comes off my mind. Should Storm and Forge get back together? They've had such an up and down relationship, haven't they? With Life Death 2, Follow the Mutants. Can they ever make it work? What is my favorite pen? I don't really have a favorite pen. I like all my pens because each pen is needed for a different job, whether it be the Micron or Copic multiliners, the Pentel Pocket brush pens, Zebra brush pens, the Kuritoga brush pens. So, yes, I did see Thor Ragnarok. Loved it. When will my next broadcast be? I don't know exactly. Hopefully sometime this next week. I'll try to schedule it and let y'all know as soon as I know. Having trouble drawing a character pointing a gun. Any tips? Yes, this is what I do. I take a toy gun. Toy gun! Please do not use a real gun. Do you hear me? Do you understand? This is a do not try this at home situation. I take a toy gun. Unloaded, no, if it shoots pellets, no pellets in there. Do not have anything in it. A toy gun. And I hold it and I look at it in the mirror. Or I take a photo of how does it look held in my hands. But it's a toy gun, not a real gun. Do not risk your life. Do you understand me? I'm strictly serious about that. Gun safety. Use a toy gun, toy rifle, toy anything. Do not use real. That I don't want anyone getting hurt. So I'm strict. I am full on serious about that. Do not use a real gun. Use a toy gun to find the shape. So that's how I say to use how I draw a gun being held at a certain angle. So please, yes, safety first. Okay, you heard me. You heard me. Excellent, excellent. Appreciate that. Was that you asking the question originally, Red Falcon? If not, I'm glad that you recognize. Yes, okay, yes, Red Falcon, you asked the question and you're recognizing gun safety. LOL, yes, safety first. Glad to hear it, glad to hear it. Some people just don't think. They don't think, and I don't want anyone getting hurt. Seriously, I take gun safety very seriously. So that's why I want to make sure I say that up front because you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching, and sometimes people just don't think, and I don't want anyone getting hurt. Sorry I went off on that. I just get really scared for people when it comes to guns, especially with everything that's been going on in our country with shootings and stuff. It's just like, people, we gotta be safe with our guns. Let's see, when will I do another watercolor piece? Hopefully soon, sometime. What's my friend's opinion on Frank Castle's War Machine? I haven't been keeping up with that, so no opinion. Am I going to do time-lapse of the X-Men cover? Of this one, no, because I'm doing these as YouTube broadcast, live broadcast. It goes straight to my website. I don't get a download of it on my phone, so I can't do a time-lapse of it. So there'll be no time-lapse for these. Strictly lives. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoy my videos. Glad you get psyched for those. How can you get a commission from me? Right now, your best shot is conventions. If I'm at a convention in your area. My studio commission list is so long, it is locked down. I'm slowly plugging away. I got 3 commissions done this last week. I'm hoping to get a couple more done this next week, so I'm working through that list. Once that's more manageable, I will be opening up my commission list again, but that's going to be kind of a long while, unfortunately, because I do commissions amidst my work deadlines, travel schedule, real life. So if I'm ever at a convention in your area, that's probably the best time to get a commission from me, but even then, I can't do a commission for everyone, so you want to make sure you read up on my convention commission specs and info on toddnauck.com. Colossus needs a beard? Well, he had a beard at the beginning of Extraordinary X-Men. Do you think he should get it back? Would I consider making a how-to draw book? I would consider that. Oh, well, you're welcome. You're welcome for the tips. And thanks for understanding Red Falcon there about the gun safety. So glad y'all came by. So glad y'all could hang out with me today here on this Saturday working on some X-Men. I hope y'all had a good time. And I hope to be back soon so we can get more X-Men on this piece. See if we can get this one done this year, maybe. It all just depends on the work and travel schedule. So I hope y'all are doing well, and I hope to see y'all again real soon. And be sure to follow me on my social media. They're all linked in the info below here on this video and all my videos. So you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, all that. And if you're watching for the first time, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Just click subscribe, hit the bell, adjust your notifications preferences so that you don't miss out on any future live broadcasts or posted videos. Hope you all have a great weekend. Go see Thor Ragnarok. You'll have a good time, and I'll see y'all again real soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.